Hello everybody, welcome into the Fallout Shelter. I've got some information here that I'm trying to put together to do a live stream on within the next couple of days, but I thought I'd come on and give you a brief overview on it before I did, and share a link in case you wanted to look it up. I got a couple of different things here. One of them is from a Russian law and one of them is from the Air Force and Rome Laboratories. I've got them side by side. The first thing I want to read to you is from the Rome Laboratories. I brought this Russian document up before, and I got all of the, oh, well, you can't, we don't ever know, and all this other, this, that, and other stuff about it. Well, here we go. According to the Air Force, the effects to the central nervous system of radio frequency microwave radiation. There's documented evidence that exposure to radio frequency microwave radiation can cause a disturbance in the central nervous system of living organisms. Soviet investigators, remember what I'm going to be reading from is the Russian law on radiation devices, and comments from Russian scientists on the issue and things they've done. And it has a ton of things listed at the bottom. Most of it's in Russian, and I don't know how to understand it, but I do know they exist, and most of it can be looked up. Soviet investigators claim that exposure to low-level radiation can induce serious CNS dysfunctions. Experiments conducted in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe have exposed live subjects. And let me tell you, they put subjects right there because throughout the rest of this Air Force document, when they talk about it being on an animal, they tell you what kind of animal, how much power, and everything of that animal. And when they talk about humans, they talk about subjects. Have exposed live subjects to radiation levels that are near or below the recommended safe levels prescribed by the American National Safety Institute standard and the United States Air Force of Occupational Safety Health standard. The pathological report. Soviet investigators claim that the central nervous system is highly sensitive to radio frequency microwave radiation. The NIOSH technical report summarized the results of a pathological study published by A.A. Letovit and Z.B. Gordon in 1960, where they related disorders were discovered among 525 workers that were exposed to microwave radiation. The symptoms were listed as hypotension, slower than normal heart rate, an increase in the histamine content of the blood, an increase in the activity of the thyroid gland, disruption of the endocrine hormonal process, alterations in the sensitivity to smell, headaches, irritability, and increased fatigue. Other researchers have acknowledged similar biological responses. These are what they will allow posted in the Air Force documentation. Now, I'm going to try to do a live stream in the next day or two and go over both of these kind of in depth. I want to give you a little thing here over on the Russian document. Electromagnetic stimulation in an acute form is characterized by osteoneuroticism, disorder of cardiovascular system functioning, which is manifested through harsh weakness, heavy headache, nausea, changes of arterial pressure, angiospasm. Prolonged and systematic stimulation of a human being with electromagnetic fields of different frequencies with the intensity outstripping the permissible doses induces functional changes in the organism, emergence of cancer cells. Okay, and if y'all haven't seen Dana Ashley's latest video, you need to go watch it and see what she says about the 60 gigahertz, because this is in some Russian form documents from years ago where they said cancer cells being irradiated with 60 gigahertz start growing 6 times faster. Cancer cells being irradiated with 60 gigahertz start growing 6 times faster. System damages of blood vascular system activity and brain functioning, headaches, injuring of sense of hearing, eyesight, deviations in neural axis are manifested through headache, insomnia, excessive fatigue, and irritability. And frequent depressions and hysterias in their turn induce skin diseases, eczema, dermatitis, and as well as deviations in the immune system, damages of internal organs, sexual sphere, infertility, and other implications dangerous for living as well. Taking into account a great role of cerebral cortex and hypothalamus in implementing of technical functions of a human being, we can expect that a prolonged stimulating with a permissible doses of radiation can induce physical disorders, including the change of conditional reflex activity, behavioral reactions, conditions of short-term and long-term memory, changes of bioelectrical activity of different brain structures, namely low frequencies correspond to brain rhythms. Modulated electromagnetic fields can selectively suppress or intensify biorhythms of brain biocurrents or other frequency. By prolonged stimulation with electromagnetic oscillations appear constricting pains in heart area, sense of sand in eyes, loss of hair, nails fragility, gingival bleeding. Any of you targeted individuals, you know about this? Weight reducing. From time to time, a person feels his extremities benumbed, losing the sensibility or getting cold. Quoted from Occupational Diseases, published in Tomsk, 1980. The most vulnerable to electromagnetic radiation are brain and spinal cord. The most vulnerable to electromagnetic radiation are brain and spinal cord, bladder, endocrine, and immune system, and digestive tract. Now, I'm going to get into all of this a lot more. They start talking about it as weapons. And I was in a chat the other night, Richie from Boston's, and I mentioned the eater and won't that be a heck of a cleansing by fire when it explodes? And he made a comment about that being so close to CERN and the possibility of it being used as a weapon against Christ when he comes back. I thought, okay, well, I've got to look into that a little bit. Well, with what I know about ITER and what I know about tokamaks, they use hydrogen, they use tritium, they use lithium, and they use some other things. And right down below here, they start talking about using negative charged ions of hydrogen and tritium, which means they use electromagnetic fields to near the speed of light. Well, that is either a CERN type device, a particle collider, or a tokamak can do the same thing. And then neutralize in the course of getting through a thin layer of gas. Well, they also have to have a thin layer between the wall and the actual plasma, and they're finding that they can inject other things into there, which make it less of a chance to reach out and fail and explode. In layman's terms, I'm going to try to come on and also do a live stream about the tokamaks. I found quite a few of them around the country and quite a few of them around the world. And oddly enough, China said they were fixing to fire one up. And if the case of what that says, under a radiator, we understand a technical device that converts one kind of energy in a certain kind of radiation. That's what a tokamak will do. A human being will not hear the frequencies higher than 20 kilohertz, but ultrasound damages human material also at inaudible rate. So I think they're trying to say that these things are actually going to create frequencies that might be in the ultrasound range, and they could be causing problems with cellular growth. It says an intensity of concentrated oscillations considerably influence the brain structures and neural system, causing headache, dizziness, and brings eyesight and breath out of order, nausea, convulsions, and sometimes loss of consciousness. So, take all that into consideration with all that's going on, and you really don't know what's happening. I will scroll to the bottom of this really quick. I want to show y'all one thing in the video in case you don't see the live stream. This Russian document, it gives the breakdown of what the frequencies actually are. You have electromagnetic waves, decentrimic / ultra high frequencies, wavelength from 1 meter to 10 centimeter, frequency from 300 megahertz to 3 gigahertz. Centimetric super high frequencies, wavelength from 1 OCM to 1 cm, frequency from 3 gigahertz to 30 hertz. Millimetric extra high frequencies, wavelength from 1 centimeter to 1 millimeter, frequencies from 30 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. Now they tell you 5G is from 30 gigahertz to 100 gigahertz, but most of the equipment up on the towers is already possibly, it's possible it could transmit at 300 gigahertz. And when you come on down here, they have all of their notations, the bibliographic list. These books exist. I've looked up quite a few of them. So most of all of this is from the early 90s to 2003, which is when I believe the New World Order was completely implemented. I believe we've been living in it for a while now. So yeah, I'm going to try to do an in-depth overview on these with some other documents as well. I'm going to share the links for these documents in the description below. One of them is an apps.dtic.mil link. That is the one for the Air Force document. And the other one, I'm going to leave a link to one of my very first YouTube videos. because it's the only, I can't remember how I got this link. I can't find it. I don't know, but it's still in that video. So I'm just going to link that video to this. And if you want to, it's a download link. I've never had a problem with it. I've downloaded it to 3 or 4 different devices. Do what you will with it. It's, I've never had a problem. So that's the only way I know to get that, or in the live stream, I'll probably read most of it just because a lot of people don't want to read all of it. So I hope you all have a great day wherever you are. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. And God bless you all. And I'll see you next time.